Hi everyone, so today I'm here to do a review of American Ghoul by Walt Morton. So I was sent this for review by the author and I really like the sound of it. I wasn't too sure where to start with because it seemed like it might be slightly out of my comfort zone, which it was, but I was really surprised that I did actually really enjoy this book. Okay, so it's set in the 70s and our main character, Howard Pickman, is a ghoul. And a ghoul is a sort of like paranormal being that eats human flesh, but Howard's family usually eat the flesh of dead people, but it's usually like freshly dead because, you know, dead people who've been there for a while probably don't look or smell that great. So then the villagers find out about Howard's family and they come and they kill Howard's mum and dad, and they think that Howard is dead as well. But Howard manages to make an escape and he heads towards Philadelphia where his gran lives, and he goes to stay with his gran. He starts a new school, he meets some new friends and mainly his best friend Sebastian. Then at the school, at every school, we all have these group of popular jocks who are awful bullies, and a lot of the time, well, most of the time, they take stuff far too far and they've crossed the line a couple of times now and no one's ever found them out, but we get to find out how far they go for that line. Okay, so I'm going to talk about Howard. I thought he was a really likeable character. I really felt for him after his parents were killed, although he didn't show that much like emotion towards it. He was more focused on getting himself out of that position, making sure that he wouldn't be hunted as well, which I completely understand, but I really admire his strength for not completely breaking down. He does have his moments where he thinks about his mum and dad, I think everyone would, but I do really admire his strength to not have a breakdown. He just seems like he's a genuinely nice guy. There were a few awkward moments with Howard when he was speaking about his grandma that I didn't particularly like and probably could have done without. I'm positive he said about his grandma one time that she was hot and that she had a nice body, and that just made me cringe. I don't want to hear someone speak about their gran like that. I wouldn't speak about my gran like that. I wouldn't like if anyone spoke about their gran like that. It really makes me cringe so much. I really didn't like it when he referred to his gran like that, or when he spoke about his gran's sex life. I just didn't need to hear that at all. Okay, on to Sebastian, his best friend. He's so funny. I love Sebastian. Most of the time he's sort of like swearing, trying to start a punk rock band. He's pretty funny, and he also gets Howard hooked on doing marijuana, which they tend to do when they're wanting to relax. But I really like Sebastian. He had such a great energy, and I thought he was such a amazing side character as well. I wasn't particularly fond of Howard's grandma. She seems a bit sort of a weird character. When Howard and his grandma are out looking for dead bodies for food to bring up from the cemetery, she'd eat them all straight away, so they'd be left with like basically no food, because that's all she would do, would just eat dead people, and also put human meat into food that she's serving to humans, and I didn't like that at all. I wish she hadn't done that. Okay, the storyline in this book for me, it started off quite slow because the first chapter just seemed to drag on and I was praying for a break in the chapter that took forever to come. But when Sebastian started new school and met Sebastian, things did start to pick up quite a bit. So this was also the very first Ghoul book I've read, and I really enjoyed it. I wasn't particularly sure of what a ghoul was to start with, but they're sort of like not dead zombies because they eat human flesh, that's what I'm going to refer to them as. But I really did like the concept of them, and I will be looking into ghouls some more and seeing if I can find some more books on them. So back to the storyline, we have throughout the book some of Sebastian's friends are attacked. One of them commits suicide, and the other one is severely injured and ends up in hospital. We kind of know who does this, but it's not actually revealed until the very end of the book, but I had a pretty good idea about who caused all of that, and Yeah, so I think Howard and Sebastian did as well. The ending of the book had the most action in it. This is when I just couldn't put the book down until I finished it. Okay, so we had the bullies all converging on Sebastian and Howard, and then Howard getting taken by the bullies away so that they can go and like batter him and almost kill him. And then there was a big car crash, and then Howard kind of went a bit psycho and off the rails, and it was actually pretty funny to read about. But he did go a bit mental at the end. But I did really enjoy this book, and the ending was just spectacular. The only thing I didn't like about this book was the fact that I've got it for my Kindle, and some of the chapters just seemed like they seemed to go on forever, and that they were just never going to stop. And there were only a couple of chapters like this, so it wasn't as if it was like every chapter, but there were a couple of chapters that were like very short, and I was enjoying those ones. And then when I'd see that I had to go into a chapter that was going to take me forever to finish, I'd just feel like, I'm not really wanting to read this just now, I'll go and read another book that has shorter chapters. So that's the only downside to this book that I had, because sometimes I just could not be bothered reading it because of the length of the chapters. So that's really the only thing I didn't enjoy. After reading this book, I did realise that it was slightly outside of my comfort zone with the whole set in the 70s drug use sort of thing. It's not my kind of book, but it really surprised me and I did really enjoy it. So I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I will leave the link to the Goodreads page in the down bar below so you can go and check it out. But I do definitely recommend that you should go and have a look at this book and see if it's anything that you would enjoy. Okay, so that was my review of American Ghoul by Walt Morton. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye everyone!